Morning, Vusi. It's good to see you this morning.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
Great stuff. And I know the event has started now. We're waiting for our guests to come into the room, and they're on the. I can see that's happening. So always grateful to have industry leaders to chat to. And I think that, after these last almost 2 years, we come to the finale for the NSBC today with regards to, of course, our webcasts, our live events. And for me, it's been an incredible journey. Vusi Mngomezulu. Sorry, is that not correct? I know.
Mngomezulu. That was a good attempt, Mark. We'll give you another try at the end of the session.
But Vusi, a very big welcome. Thank you for being part of us. And I also want to thank Vodacom Business, Louisa Saliers, for, of course, making these fast forward live webcasts over the past year amazing. We've had incredible feedback. We've had enormous amount of gratitude. There we go, Louisa. Good to see you on the chat. And it's because of organizations like Vodacom Business that we can do this. You know what? Without these organizations and without people like you, Vusi, have one goal in mind, and that's to help others. And I know that this morning we're going to certainly help others out there. But and I know on the chat here, we will put up your web address and all that, Vusi, so people can get engaged with you after this to seek out better solutions in the digital and technology world to help them in their businesses. So Vusi, let's kind of kick off. I know that I've got a couple of questions here, but guys, what's really important about this morning, it's also about you guys out there. Please put some questions forward. When we start the conversation going in a few seconds with Vusi, if there's something that you like to be addressed, please pop it through, because that's how we make it truly engaging. And so Vusi, again, tell me about Vusi.
Vusi, born and bred from Johannesburg in South Africa, and an accountant by qualification, but as you know, accountants are relevant everywhere, and so are people in technology. And the choice of technology has been a profession path for the past just under 14 years, and has been an interesting one. But the most interesting one I'm enjoying it to date is the path of the Internet of Things, or IoT, and what we do at IoT.nxt in that regard. I think this is a beautiful platform, by the way, NSBC bringing SMMEs together, and obviously us being able to talk of the future of SMMEs where IoT is based, and I think to every small business present today by any way of representation, they are the heartbeat of any economy. So, I myself have had some successful and even failed SMME attempts, but it was all in line with a bigger narrative that no country can reach a first world status or grow significantly without the importance and involvement of SMMEs. And I think as we go on further, I'll be able to unpack just how even in our growth as IoT.nxt, we were an SMME 6 years ago, but now have reached a stage where we've even been acquired by a global parent company, being Vodacom and Vodafone, that has allowed us to grow out of that infancy stage into, a multinational. And that was all possible through technology and IoT. So I think that's really me in a nutshell, and why I find myself in this space, and really what keeps me ticking. There's one thing that you're guaranteed in life, is that there'll always be taxes, you will die one day, and technology will always evolve. So whilst you're alive, if you can always have a pulse on technology, you'll always be evolving.
Vusi, that's an amazing introduction. Thank you for that. And, you touched on a really important passion point of mine, and that's the playing field around the SME environment. And, we know that small business or SMEs or SMMEs is the mainstay of our economy. It's the engine of our society, and it's the only future to alleviate unemployment, not only in South Africa, but around the world. So it is the sector. And of course, and our mission collectively is to really help SMEs stay in business and build bigger and more successful businesses so that they can employ others. And in that way, that's meaningful nation building. So thank you for that comment. Always nice to hear people from outside of the NSBC, of course, bringing in that up. Now, Vusi, just to, I'm interested in technology for me has been an evolving experience. Before pandemic, I'd never done a webinar. I'd never done a virtual conference. I'd never done a Teams or Zoom's meeting, and I've learned an amazing amount. But without this technology, we could never have survived, like many other businesses. So we have to appreciate and, of course, be grateful for what's out there. Organizations like you, like Vodacom Business and others who enable SMEs to be able to continue doing business through powerful technology solutions. So it is an imperative part of our society to keep our businesses going and flourishing, of course. Now, I have to ask you, tell me a little bit about what is IoT?
So IoT, as intelligent as the acronym sounds, stands for the Internet of Things. But really, it's around how do we obtain information from things, devices that are live and on, and how do we then bring in and aggregate all that information to be able to allow us to make more intelligent decisions. So for lack of a better word, IoT is you knowing that when you switch on a light bulb, yes, you see it emitting light, but how much energy is it consuming? How many kilowatts of power is it using? How do you know if that globe is under strain when it starts flickering and you know that it's about to die? IoT allows you to know that every day, anytime, anywhere, and intelligently so, and allows you then to make intelligent decisions like the light bulb example I've just used, where you can predictively know that actually my light behaved like this for the last 100 hours, but now it's changing its trend. Why? Is it probably the fact that current is no longer flowing as consistently as it used to because the coal is wet? Or is it because the light bulb has probably reached end of life? But being able to have that information at your fingertips off a single pane of glass and using that to make intelligent decisions is really what the acronym Internet of Things is trying to foster. So it's really about controlling the edge and digitizing it to be able to use that information wisely.
Well, Vusi, thank you for that. And I think that gives me some learning this morning. I've always asked that specific question, and very few people can answer that. But to go further than that, Vusi, what would be the key benefits for SMEs to introduce IoT technology?
So typically SMMEs, Mike, and I've seen in the past in the technology space are all about really dropping boxes. So everyone wants to sell a laptop, a headset, a printer, or sell something that allows you to basically have a once-off interaction with your possible customer. However, with IoT, it is ongoing. So you are giving yourself as an SMME the ability to scale your business in a sustainable way. And that's what a lot of IoT is about, right? It's around ensuring that you're able to connect to any device and visualize it on an ongoing basis. So in terms of the key benefits for SMMEs is that if they look to diversify their offering into an IoT play, it's going to allow them a bit of longevity where month to month, you're able to assist any of your end users or clients to make intelligent decisions. What's even better now is that during COVID, obviously, everyone's pockets are getting slightly shallower and they're moving their hands further and further away. But with IoT technology, we're not asking people to rip and replace what they have. We're saying measure it and manage it more efficiently. That actually is what IoT technology is enabling worldwide. So I think that the opportunity and the benefit there for SMMEs is one, scale. It's two, sustainability. You want to be a provider of choice to any of your customers where they know that what you are doing or offering as a service is allowing them to remain sustainable, is allowing them to remain economical in terms of how they're sweating their assets or just knowing what's happening in their environment digitally.
Okay, Vusi, and to go further than that, and as we know, we filled this morning with the business owners and entrepreneurs of SMEs. And now, important question, can IoT technology be deployed by an SME irrespective of the industry it operates in?
So here's the interesting part around my job is that I don't do one thing. So in every 10 hours that I work, I probably touch across 9 different industries at any different moment. And to answer the question directly, the answer is yes. And I want to use simple use cases of examples that I've dealt with in the past. So through IoT, we're able to track livestock. So anyone in agriculture, we already have 2 or 3 use cases that talk directly to the sector where we're looking at soil moisture and temperature, humidity in the air, and to intelligently tell you when you should be irrigating your farms, right? Now, everyone would assume that you need some form of a technological engineer to deploy that. You don't. You actually need a person who's passionate about agriculture. So any SMME can deploy that. Similarly, though, if you want to get advanced, we are, tracking fleet, tracking the usage of assets, tracking into assets that are quite old. So I'm sure you'll know most of the mining infrastructure is infrastructure that is all aged and you see a lot of metal. But what we do through IoT is that we connect into the communication devices of that vehicle or yellow piece of metal. And then we give you a digitized view for you to be able to see just how efficiently is that yellow metal performing, when are certain key components reaching end of life, is the gearbox working too hard because it's overheating? So yes, SMMEs are definitely the ones best positioned to actually deploy our technology. And more importantly, from an IoT.nxt point of view, that is our core drive to ensure that we continue being great at developing software and ensuring we make the platform easier and easier to utilize. But we're not in the business of wanting to go and deploy every solution ourselves. We are saying we have small businesses that also need to help grow our economy, that also need to grow their own knowledge base of technology, and our solutions are very easy to deploy for them in their respective industries. So yes, it is definitely positioned for SMME deployment.
Thanks, Vusi. Now, Terry Bird's asking a question. Is IoT a form of CRM?
So, not necessarily. I think a CRM in its natural format is really trying to keep the heartbeat of the growth of a business, right? So most companies utilize their CRMs to track their sales and to track how they're performing against whatever indicators or targets that they may have had. How IoT contributes to that is that it will give you a view of how your business is operating optimally, or how some of your assets within your business are operating, and then allowing you to make decisions that could possibly, the information and the data that comes out of that could enable how your CRM operates. So no, it's not a CRM in its sense, but definitely all the information and data and analyzed data that comes from all the devices that you'll be reading from can definitely enable how you optimize your own CRM. So you would know that if you are selling televisions, for lack of a better word, and you know that connecting into that TV, you can see that the lifespan of every household's television is 5 years, how that informs your CRM is that you probably need to diversify your product, right? Because it means you're only going to sell a new television set once every 5 years. So that's how the information out of an IoT platform can give intelligence to a CRM platform.
Now another question is Vusi, that technology solutions has been embraced more by SME sector globally than any other sector. Now, the important side related to our discussion this morning, how to transform costing for an SME is quite important. What is your comment around that? Costing packages and costs, and how does one gauge what it would cost them to transform further?
So for me, the first thing as an SMME or as any business that you need to provide is value. And I think the sensitivity around costs is always an easier discussion when it is amplified by the value that you are providing to whoever's undergoing the cost, even if it's yourself. Now, IoT, the beauty of it is that it has resulted in people achieving savings, right? Because you want to manage your assets or manage your environments in such a way that allow you to efficiently utilize your assets and sweat them for longer, because you're able to predictively maintain or be able to do proper ongoing maintenance before something breaks down and makes you lose business hours. So for me, in managing your costs, that's not the driver for me. The driver is that once you're offering value, then the emotions and sensitivity around the costs start moving away. And for an SMME's perspective is that our solutions are becoming more and more inexpensive, because we don't expect you to ask your customers to rip and replace what they've got. We are saying if a customer has 8 different systems managing 8 different environments, with IoT, you can plug all those 8 systems together and visualize them on one single pane of glass. Now that's adding value, because then across your value chain, you're able to see the actual heartbeat of a business, not a lung, an artery, a red blood cell. No, you actually see the heart. So I think from a cost perspective, the driver must always be the value that you're providing.
Okay, great. Now, Martin van Niekerk's asking a question. This is interesting, where does AI fit into all of this IoT?
So I think the AI and machine learning component basically fits in from all the data that you collect. So, I'll give you an example. As IoT.nxt as a business, we worldwide connect to over 3 million devices, and we basically process 7 billion transactions a month. Now, a transaction is defined by all the data we're getting from all those 3 million devices. Where does AI come in? It starts helping you with trend analysis. So now you start knowing that actually my air conditioner does not need to blow the whole day in winter, because the average room temperature is X. Therefore, if I blow so many degrees in, I'll get it down to room temperature versus in summer. Now that can now be preset by AI. It means future air conditions that are sold in years to come, they'll basically ask you, please log in the territory or country that you live in. And all that data learning will be passed through to that aircon. So that aircon in June in South Africa will know that actually it is a winter season in South Africa. Therefore, I can operate with a little less power, with a little less water, because it generally is cool around that time. Now, that's the artificial intelligence. It's artificial because it's not human intelligence. It's through the constant learning from data trends and data analysis and the data anomalies that come with that. So I think that's really where the AI component can be of assistance.
And an interesting question now from Stein. Of course, it affects SMEs. He's saying, will IoT not have a negative impact on employment?
Yeah. So when I'm Vusi, the key element around that line of questioning is that everyone sees digitization as a threat, right? Whereas from an IoT perspective, I think it might do the exact opposite. It will actually have a positive impact on employment if embraced correctly. Because think of every household in South Africa, and I'm using a local context, more than 90% of the houses are ready to be digitized, but no one has done it yet. So the the opportunity for employment there is significant. I'll give you a very simple example. We are currently working on a use case with one of our local banks that is simply saying we want to connect to every geyser in every household in South Africa. Now, just that from a numbers perspective is significant, but here's why. They want to be able to predictively tell you when your geyser is about to burst. And I think everyone here who's lived in the same property for more than 5 years has seen that movie before. But through IoT, you can predictively know when your thermostat's about to go, when the element in the geyser is about to go. And through AI, we already know that if 2 or 3 components of your geyser have already given way, the likelihood of it bursting is high. Now, coming back to that example, Steyn, is that going to have a negative impact on employment? Of course not. One, someone has to possibly connect to all those geysers in every single household. Someone has to read that data. Someone has to inform people to change those geysers, and someone has to manufacture those geysers. So it actually, in my view, has a positive impact, because what it does is that it allows for various businesses within industrial value chains to start optimizing and working in a more systemic way, for people not to wait for tenders or public processes, using information at your fingertips to know what is next. We are currently living in an era of COVID where we now know that, and we've seen it in corporates, everyone is trying to ensure that everyone returns to work in a safe manner. Some people still working from home, and managing the occupancy levels, right? So that you can have adequate social distancing. But you can't do that by counting people at the door. You can digitize that process by putting sensors of people counting, ensuring that you have proper recordings of temperatures, and putting occupancy sensors around desks to at any given time to know that, okay, I've reached my ideal threshold of how many people should be in the office or not. So to close on that, Steyn, I think the opportunity for employment is highly positive where IoT is based.
Okay, Vusi, he has a big challenge for you. Amber Pariachi is saying, such advanced tech, why Eskom is not using your services?
So, and I mean, it is a conversation of discussion, but Eskom, not in their defense, is trying to really optimize as quickly as possible to ensure that they don't have the outages that we're having, right? But the challenge is that an asset you cannot measure, you also cannot manage. So I think Eskom has to, they'll get there in due course, but they first have to go back and do a root cause analysis, of which IoT can help them do that. So they need to get sustainable generation, know what are the shortcomings in just their generation environment. And then from there, transfer that into their transmission environment and distribution environment. I can tell you we've tried to do some basic use cases for Eskom, and on a small scale where we looked at how we could possibly automize their coal belt, that the conveyor belt that basically transfers coal from the stockpile into the boilers or the power stations. And just by monitoring that, you could actually ensure that there's consistent supply of coal into the power stations. Now, it starts there, because when a conveyor belt stops running, it means for every minute it's not going to run, they're going to lose certain kilowatts of power. So I think Eskom is slowly coming along in their digitization journey, and I think they'll get there. I do think they'll get there. There are other countries where blackouts are standard. We are so enduring first world standards that we don't accept blackouts, and now we've acclimatized, and I think that will come to an end sometime shortly.
Yeah, Vusi, we'll have to get Eskom onto our next discussion.
Yes.
Now, Vusi, can you cite any examples of SMEs that have added IoT technology and what the results achieved for the companies are?
So we as IoT.nxt actually have an standing award in every year where we award the best performing, and we call them partner. I think the word SMME also creates a narrative that you have to remain small forever. No, small is as small as you think, but if you're doubling your profits from 10 Rand to 20 Rand the next year, by no means are you small. We have a use case down in the municipality of Mkhanyagude, where we basically digitized their metering infrastructure, where they wanted, as a small municipality out in KwaZulu-Natal, to be able to do leak detection, because obviously we all know that water is tolled, and the amount of water they were buying was not in direct relation to the revenue that they were receiving from the water that they were distributing. That end-to-end is a project that was deployed by one of our SMMEs. And to this day, they are still servicing that municipality and looking to grow within that environment. But this was a small, medium enterprise that was passionate about ensuring that services are delivered in a home village that didn't have water, and they had to do an analysis to see why were they not getting water properly, or where was the leakages happening. And they approached us as IoT.nxt. We were able to give them a solution that could read the edge and make the information intelligent and allow for better decision making. Leaks were detected, the infrastructure is not leaking, and now they're able to toll the water better. We have multiple examples and this is one of our SMMEs, and actually our partners. I don't like the acronym SMMEs, Advanotech. And to date, Advanotech is a growing business year on year. So, and that I think from our perspective as IoT.nxt is that we see all our growth, or call it 2/3 of our growth, mainly being delivered by partners, because we have global ambitions. So we are a proudly South African company, born and bred out of Centurion, but we currently have use cases and deployments out in the Netherlands, in the UAE, out in Turkey. And all of those have been delivered by partners, which were SMMEs, but now have grown to be able to bring value to their end customers utilizing our tech. So is there an opportunity? Definitely, for SMMEs. Would they see benefits, and would they grow utilizing IoT? Definitely. And it's not limited to industry nor use case. Every single industry that you can think of utilizes some element of technology, whether new or old. The older it is, the better. There's an opportunity to digitize that in a modern way. The newer it is, the better. There's an opportunity to do better machine learning and artificial intelligence around that data coming through.
Okay. Now, Vusi, Wendy's asking, what resources can an SMME leverage from IoT.nxt to deploy IoT solutions from both a hardware and software perspective?
Yeah. So Wendy, I think that's a good question. First and foremost, I think the first resource you're able to leverage is becoming a partner of ours. And to all the SMMEs that are on here, I think there's no restriction from you becoming a partner of ours, where you see IoT being able to add value to one of your end customers. The first resource available is for you to become a partner, with IoT.nxt. The second resource is to learn from all our use cases and see where you would like to apply one of those use cases. And the third element to leverage is to actually go and present that use case. If you don't feel confident enough to go and present it yourself, I mean, myself and the entire team here at IoT.nxt are happy to accompany you to whoever that end user may be and present that solution. And also then we do a lot of partner enablement, where we train partners on how to undergo the sales approach, how to understand the technology, and how to deliver the value proposition. And that's all available for you to leverage. In terms of hardware, we are hardware agnostic. The only hardware that is proprietary to us is a gateway, which we call the Raptor, which is basically an intelligent gateway that has allowed us to backward integrate, to connect into legacy systems that are over 70 years old, whilst also be staying currently relevant, to connect into stuff that's about to be delivered. This is a gateway that has a library of over, I think, 10,000 drivers of different types of controllers. So there's a lot for you to leverage as an SMME. And I think I'd encourage you to reach out to us if you're already seeing areas or opportunities where you think you could expand your own offering under your brand, leveraging the IoT.nxt play. We're not emotional over the brand. We're emotional about helping our partners ensure that their customers realize value.
Absolutely. Vusi, just to kind of come to form of closure, any last final closing remarks, message from your side, Vusi?
Yeah, I think for me, I want to first and foremost commend all the SMMEs who joined today, because like I said, even when I started, I am a successful and also a failed SMME. And both are very important, because the era we live in, COVID has tried to instill a sense of fear that certain things that you may have wanted to achieve are not possible. Yet, having spent some time in IoT, I've realized that it's all about your perspective of how you want to bring value to your environment. So I think in closure, I'd like to encourage everyone to continue doing what they're doing, find relevance in what you're doing, and always ensure that you're providing value in what you're doing. Because in essence, that is what us as consumers and consumers globally seek. We're constantly seeking value, and value comes in various forms. It comes in savings. It comes in efficiency. It comes in profitability. It comes with peace. It comes with safety. And all those elements IoT is also able to provide, because that is in essence what we look to sell. If I'm not selling safety, I'm selling efficiency, I'm selling savings, I'm selling digitization, and I think as SMMEs, we need to try and broaden the horizon of what we're providing. Even if you're into catering, you're selling nutrition. You're alleviating poverty. And I think if we change the lens that we view things from, then we'll be able to always unpack or pick out the value that we're providing. And really that's the key ingredient to being a successful SMME, in my view, and being a sustainable business and being a sustainable partner. In my world, no one must come and present themselves as an SMME. No one's an SMME. They'll be seen as a partner to us. But Mike, that's me in closing. And lastly, thank you to all the SMMEs that participated on the platform today. And yes, wishing everyone a safe and, healthy end of the year. And if you do your best where you are with what you have, that on its own should be enough to turn the tide in your favor. Thank you.
Great, Vusi. Just to let you know, the remarks coming through are amazing. So thank you for that constructed discussion, super informative, super intelligent, and your message came across extremely clearly. I know that you've enlightened many people out there. So to you, Vusi, IoT.nxt, and of course to Vodacom Business. And Louisa, thanks for allowing the NSBC and myself to host the series. I've learned an immense amount this year, and I know that we will continue next year. And to all our attendees, guys, without you, as we always say, we can't do what we do. And so we're very grateful for you guys joining us. And I see Vusi every time we do this, we have many of the same faces, and so we're truly grateful for you guys out there. And like Vusi says, it comes to the NSBC is not closing right yet. We'll close on the 15th, but of course our events, our virtual events have come to an end now until early next year. And just to let you know, we've got an action-packed 2022, big developments, amazing platforms, great virtual experiences coming up. People ask me, when are we going to bring back physical? Until it's safe, until we know and it's 100% safe, then we will do. But what's amazing, Vusi, because of technology, prior to the pandemic, we used to do over 200 events a year, physical, and we transformed immediately. And many of our attendees will say it's not lesser than the physical experience. So we truly, me personally, are grateful for technology and the solutions that were made available to us so that we can continue in our quest to help others out there, to help SMEs stay in business. There's been many casualties in the hospitality and tourism sectors, as we know. But these people who run these businesses, they're amazing people in a great business at the wrong time. But what's amazing about these people is that they're bringing these businesses back. And the mission of the NSBC is to help every one of those who's been affected, to bring them back, because these are job creators. Our country needs them. So that's our big mission over the next year and a few years ahead, is to help these guys and those businesses come back. So, but to you guys, thank you. Louisa, thank you. Vusi, thank you. To our attendees, truly grateful. Have a wonderful day and all the very best for the festive season. Stay safe.